How are you? How's life treating you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well.
Oh my
Good day. It
goodness.
was like it's so strange. It's been like so hot summer here, Southern California, and yesterday it just started dumping rain. Like I was driving home in LA and there was like cars spun out on the freeway and I was like I thought winter was over. We just like got teased with summer and then it's back to winter, so it's all like cloudy and cold again.
Oh my goodness. That's
Yeah.
literally what's been happening here in the Carolinas. Like, except for it's been like bipolar. Like one day it's 80 and then
Hmm.
next it's literally 45. And I'm
Oh,
like, okay,
gee.
so I'm gonna wait for the sinus infection to come because like
Literally.
it's asking for me. Yeah, that's because that's what always gets me. I don't really get because I'm really good about like vitamins and different things like that.
Hmm.
So I don't really get like sick like that. But when the weather does that, a sinus infection will get me. Mhm.
Absolutely. And that's the worst too. Science infections are the absolute worst.
Yep.
Oh, that's
Insane.
yeah, that's why you're like in your little in between winter and spring because you can't fully like step into either right now
Li-
because
and
the
it's
weather's
so
playing tricks on you.
and it's so bad because too, like a few weeks ago, I packed away like most of the winter, and because I was like, oh, it's gonna be like 70s for the next week, and then like a week after that, it was like back in the 40s. I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad I left like one or two coats in the closet, like heavier ones, because what is going on?
So classic. And like I'm going to Disneyland tomorrow. And
Uh-huh.
I haven't been to Disneyland in I don't know how long. And last night it was pouring rain. And I was like, oh geez, is it gonna rain while I'm at Disneyland? But either way,
I
it'll be fun.
Oh my gosh, Disney's always fun. When I was a kid, our nanny used to take us. My sister and I, we went to year-round school. So it
Mhm.
was 9 weeks on, like 3 weeks off.
Oh wow.
And so we would always go for our track out. They were called track outs.
Hmm.
And we would always go to, we had a place in Florida and we would always go to Disney for like the track outs. And it got to the point where it was like, I mean, this probably sounds crazy, but we were like, okay, we're kind of like, ugh, Disney's not fun anymore. Because you're just
Yeah.
like, okay, like I can only go on the freaking whatever rides like so many times. Like, oh,
Hmm.
it's getting boring. But anyway,
Yeah. Steaks
yeah.
too buttery, or was it steaks too juicy, lobsters too buttery?
I know, like the first world problems of it all. But like, I my friends are like, I hate you.
I'm at Disneyland
I'm like,
too much.
oh my gosh, it's psychotic. Huh?
That's
Oh
hilarious.
my goodness, I know. It's
Uh,
whatever.
so we have so much to talk about. Like, I know we
Yes.
want to tackle kind of the manosphere as a whole, masculinity, dating. Like, there's so much that goes into it.
Okay.
I saw your video. You've posted videos about the Manosphere documentary, Louis Theroux's
Uh-huh.
documentary, and I feel like that was just like the tip of the iceberg. And
Oh yeah.
I want to like dive into it because it's so interesting and it's bleak. Like the feeling I got watching that documentary, I was just like sad, like genuinely sad of like this is a real thing. Like this is a world that we're living in,
Hmm.
and like it's scary, it's sad. And afterwards, I was just like left feeling like I don't want to say hopeless, but I was like, man, it's so bleak. So like I guess to start off, what were your interpretations of the documentary? And then we can like dive in a little bit further on like how we got here and we'll just dive in. But I guess we can just start of like what was your reaction to seeing all that?
To be honest, it wasn't that jarring because, and I feel like maybe we've talked about this like in messages or something, but I I don't really like to speak on things that I don't know about, if that makes sense in
Hmm.
some regard. So I mean, before I started talking kind of like to the boys and whatnot, I definitely did a bit of like deep diving because frankly, I don't have any like personal close male friends that have fallen into that, thank God.
Hmm.
Like, I mean, I literally started talking to the boys because like women and men in my life were like, you're like you like so many different people have attempted to be messengers. Like, give it a try. Like, there's nothing to lose.
Yeah.
And especially like some of my female friends, they were like, our boyfriends are like obsessed with you. Like, They're like, when we're at a dinner and like you're talking, they're so locked into you. And so they were like, like try it. Like honestly, like we might be shocked or whatever. And so anyway, I had done a lot of deep diving and I had seen a lot of the misogynistic and just, very I would dare to say like predatory kind of, rhetoric that like a lot of them were pushing forward. And I think the most interesting thing, just from my interactions and conversations with different men that have fallen into it, maybe left, maybe this, maybe that, whatever, is it's very much so kind of generalized as like guys just get lost or they, this or that, or oh, they just do it because whatever. But I think the saddest part is that for a number of them, they kind of they didn't like go in expecting for it to evolve or for them to come to the realization that it is what it was. A lot of them just went in like looking for bros, like looking for friends,
Yeah.
digital space, the same way like guys do like in gaming spaces. Like they kind of thought it was going to be like that. And it's one of those where as it evolves, I feel like for some of them, they're like, kind of like, I don't want to be a quitter or kind of thing. And so they just kind of like evolve with it. And then for some of them too, I don't want to say that like they are easily influenced, but that is the case in some instances. Like they've been easily influenced by these different people. And for a number of them, they're just looking for community, hope, and other things like that. And then there are obviously the men out there who they're just looking to scam. Like, I mean, like anywhere, there's good and
Hmm.
there's bad.
Right.
Um, so it's such a fascinating space that's very complex. And I think that at the core of it, at least from my experiences and conversations with so many, different men, no matter the sexuality, but specifically mostly straight men, like whether they say it or not, a lot of the guys out there, they just want to meet a nice girl and like build a life. Like, and it's like sometimes they have too much pride to just say that, but it's like that's what they want. Like, and they fall into these weird, again, relationships, parasocial relationships with these guys in the manosphere. And it is sad because a lot of the guys that push that rhetoric are fatherless men. And then they're literally leading these other like fatherless men down these like shitty pipelines that are a road to nowhere. Like, you heard, I mean, I know you saw the documentary, obviously, you saw the one guy, Tiki Talkie or whatever his fucking name is, just talking about like, I don't care about what I'm selling and I don't
Hmm.
believe in it, but I'm just selling it to make the money. And it's like, that should not be what you are inspiring younger men to do, to be shady businessmen like snake oil salesmen.
Hmm.
And I think that from what I've gathered, I think at the end of the day, if we are able to get some guys in good positions, that guys can, get some kind of honest and like more positive advice and just point of view in terms of the world and how to find hope in frankly what feels like a hopeless world in certain instances, right? Like in terms of the workforce, in terms of their future prospects for wives, girlfriends and wives and different things like that. um I think that it really can benefit them in a great way. And I think that one of the worst things that a lot of people don't necessarily realize is someone like me is such an interesting messenger because I'm not a threat to like straight men. Like I'm gay, I'm married. Like I'm I'm not like I think for a lot of guys like that randomly do they're like, "Oh, he like has really nothing to gain from this other than like what he says, which is like I want people to be in love and have relationships and all of that because like we're put on this earth to love and be loved and share and build community and all of that." And I'm like, the world will genuinely just be a better place if people are able to connect. And so if I can in some way help people be able to connect and navigate and just develop as people, I think that it's something that is not only going to benefit me, but benefit a number of other people in the world, benefit a number of the girls out there, benefit a number of the guys out there. I think that the internet and a number of the digital spaces, you can see that people fear rejection. in on various levels, not just in dating and friendships and so forth. And it's like we have to figure out a way to be like, you guys, it's okay. Like if someone
Right.
rejects you, it's okay. There's 9 billion other people in the world. Like you're gonna find people that are your people and be able to build community, but everyone is they're really driven by their fear of perception and the way that people are going to perceive and whether accept or reject them. So sorry if I'm like, I can, go on. Feel free to cut me off or rein me in, but yeah, I'm a talker, so I can.
No, that's perfect. That's
Yeah.
perfect. And like you said, so many great things. And one of the things that stuck out to me was like just being honest with what you want, because I feel like so many people are trying to fill these voids that they don't even know what that void is, where it's like whether it's friendship and they're trying to have these parasocial relationships with like these hyper masculine men because they have some void that they're filling, or they're
Yeah,
trying to find all of these different things in a partner where it's like they want if it's a heterosexual relationship, like a man wants his girlfriend to be like one of the boys and be his girlfriend and fulfill this role and be his father and his mother, and like you have all of these
exactly.
voids you're trying to fill. And in the documentary, one of the parts that stood out to me the most was they were interviewing two fans of, I think it was HS Tiki Taki, or
Uh-huh.
again, like whatever the fuck his name is. And
Their names are like, sorry.
like it's
It's
so hard for me to
ridiculous.
take it seriously when you're
Yeah.
anyways, they're interviewing two young fans, and one of them was talking about how he lost his brother to suicide,
Mhm.
and they were it's like, oh wow, like these are young men that have gone through pain and suffering. And within the same sentence, they're like, yeah, but we don't believe in depression. Like we believe in getting your life together and like making money and working hard. And it's like you can see the wound, you can see the void, but the ways in which they're trying to fill it is just so misguided. And like a personal anecdote or story is like when I was young, I was 17, just graduated high school, about to start college, and my first girlfriend, like first long-term relationship, broke up with me. A couple days later, I lost one of my friends to suicide. So it was like a lot at once. And I remember like feeling a lot of these feelings that I see in like these documentaries and what other men are saying. And like at the time, you find content where it's like, take accountability, like take ownership of your life. Like there's lessons in there that are like, okay, yeah, like that makes sense. Like you should work on yourself. You should try to improve yourself. You should try to show up in the world better, all of these things. But then it's like, I'm so thankful that I went to therapy and found like healthy coping mechanisms. And I went to college and became educated. And like, I was fortunate enough to have a support system that I have. And like, what I'm seeing is like so much of the issue is like, there's these voids that are trying to be filled, but the way that they're going about it is so harmful, not only to them but to the people around them, to where it's harming their partners, it's harming them. And then you have like this small pool of people that are these snake oil salesmen that are just profiting off of it, and it just creates like a really weird dynamic. And I don't really know exactly where I was going with that, but I think like, I don't know, you made so many great points of the honesty of like, okay, are you looking for friendship, are you looking for a partner, are like what are you actually looking for? And it's okay, like whatever you are looking for, it's okay, but we just need to be honest about what that is and like live in a reality. And that's something that I love about your content in particular, is like you're always bringing, like you're bringing people to reality. You're like, you have to wake up, like you have to realize, what is it do you want, like, and how are you going to get that? And because I
Hmm.
feel like so much of the internet dating advice is like I don't even know how to just like, how would you, that's a whole other conversation we can start getting
We
into, is
can
like,
go on and on about that. Don't even get me started. It's generalizations and it's people being like this, that. And it's like, okay, number one, we are all very different people. So there really is not like universal,
mm-hmm,
advice for everyone. There's certain things that and even like if you, I mean, I know you have, but it's like if you look at the way in which I give advice, it's all rooted in improving one's self, because when you improve oneself, you are actually able to enter relationships like, different situations just in a better state,
Hmm.
functioning, like navigating it better, right? You can navigate dating better when you feel better, when you are able to, initiate conversations and be more interested in different things like that. And so everything's rooted in really improving yourself because you can't like you can't just go and this person's like, I did X, Y, and Z, and this worked for me. It's like, okay, but that same sequence is not going to work for someone else. But what can work for them is building up their confidence with different things, building up their confidence in their image, building up their confidence in their speech, building up their confidence in their knowledge, like all of those things. And a lot of people, that's not really the avenue that they come at it from.
Hmm.
It's very much so like, do this and it will work. And then, I feel like you set up these guys to be like, okay, I did that and like it didn't work, like kind of thing.
Right.
And so, it's very fascinating. I don't know if I told you, but I'm like working on writing a book
Oh, awesome.
and because like guys ask me all the time if I do like sessions and all this other stuff and I'm like no. Like one, I don't want to, but two, I'm sure you've seen it across my content. One thing that I'm really keen on is accessibility for everyone. I
Hmm.
think that we live in this world where like elitism and accessibility is something that's cut off from so many people. And so for me, I personally am, and some may say it's privilege, whatever, but I don't need to do private sessions or whatever that is. Like I can really come at it from a point of view of working to make things, accessible for a number of people. So, the book and whatnot that I'm working on is really rooted in a number of the questions or advice-based things that I'm asked, and really like actionable type things for people to be able to utilize to get to where they want to go and be. Because, and that's a thing, right? Anyone or at least most people can access like a $20 book or something. But these sessions, people it's like $100 for an hour and different things
Hmm.
like that. And they're doing 6 to 12 sessions and all, and I'm just like, I don't, that's not what I want to be
Yeah.
like, whatever. I want to be able to help like a lot of people. I'm not
Hmm.
trying to help like this little club of people that could afford it. Like, no, I want everyone to be able to receive help because I think that everyone in some regard does deserve some degree of assistance. And, you know, just the current state of the world, it's not like that. There are
Hmm.
so many people that are, you know, greedy and hoarding and leaving, so many people in various states. And it's just, I don't think that, I don't think that the current state is ever going to change unless there's people that just start doing things in a different way,
Hmm.
really. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's something I really appreciate about your content as well, is like, because so much of this dating advice is like, oh, you need to show up on the first date in a Lamborghini and do this and buy, and it's like so much of it is not rooted in reality. And your content is like, you can go to the thrift store and buy a pair of jeans, and if you wear, like, if you have these three staples of your wardrobe, where it's like jeans and a button up, and you can look nice and you have manners and you're interested in the person you're on a date with, like that is going to go so much further than like, I don't know, spending $1,000 at a dinner, like, and there
Yep.
are some people that of course want that, and like that's their own regard. But like so much of the issue in dating, which I'm sure you hear from women and men, is just like, women are like, people just don't know how to act on dates. Like they don't know how to dress themselves, like people showing up in sweatpants or like not
Hmm.
asking any questions. Like I feel like almost people need like a dating coach where it's like how to be on a first date, like how to take interest in a human being, which goes back to what you're saying of conversation skills and being comfortable in one's body and speaking, and like how to carry, because so much of a relationship is like, can I bring you to a family function? Like if it's
Hmm.
my mom's birthday, can I bring you to my parents' house, and can you talk to my grandparents? Can you hang out with my cousins? Like that is so much more important in a relationship, at least from my perspective, than like, can you show up in a nice car and like buy me dinner? It's like the foundational things that make a relationship are like, you can't reach that second level if that foundation isn't there. which
Exactly.
which I think is
Fundamental, I call it fundamental alignment. You need to be
mm,
fundamentally aligned. And so it's kind of like, all of your base beliefs need to be somewhat aligned.
mhm,
Interests can be different. I mean, I'm sure you saw the other day, I'm a firm believer in the yin and the yang. That is my personal dynamic. And in my opinion, it keeps it constantly interesting, especially if you were, like something that I have one of the chapters I started writing is about like the power of curiosity in
mhm,
all facets of life, not just dating relationships, but in your work life and so many different things, right? The power of um having a desire to know more, explore more, right? I mean, even in the workplace, someone may start off in the marketing department and then they start exploring different areas of the company, and who knows, they may like the financial aspect of that
mhm,
specific kind of company. Like you just never know. And so curiosity is something that um I feel like there's so many things that I feel like people are discouraged from doing um by whomever. And in the long run it actually like hurts them. It's like even like curiosity, right? People have almost been taught like that's a bad thing. Like
mhm.
curiosity killed the cat is that like old adage, right?
Yeah.
But it's like curiosity is also what like gives people so many opportunities and helps them expand their mind and their knowledge across the board on a variety of things. And the thing is, the more knowledge you have, the more things you're able to have conversations about and have an openness, with in terms of just culturally and, racially and just, in so many different facets. It only makes you a more interesting and, person that others want to engage with.
Mhm.
And so it's like that's one of those things where I'm like, I don't understand why that's discouraged. But it's also like if you discourage people from that, then you leave them in this zone of doom and gloom and so forth, which companies are benefiting from. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's all
Yeah.
cyclical. It all works together, whether people, want to. I feel like sometimes, especially digitally, everyone wants everything to be so isolated and
Mhm.
so like black and white, but it's like it's not. Like
Mhm.
life is full of nuance, and you have to you have to really, as you grow older, develop something called discernment
Mhm.
and be able to discern like when nuance needs to be interjected into certain things and, and when not. So,
Yeah, absolutely. And like I like what you said about being interested. Like the most interesting people are the most interested people. Like I feel
yeah.
like so many people, especially when it comes to dating and stuff, or even just relationships, they're like so self-centered, where it's like, oh, I'm going on a
Yes.
date. I wonder if they're gonna like me, and like I have to present myself this way, or like they're looking for the other person to impress them. Where it's like,
Uh-huh.
if you approach it with a sense of curiosity, if you're like genuinely interested in the person, like it's going to go so much better. Like I feel like people have like a whole checklist of like if they don't do and this, then like they're immediately disqualified. Which like of course it's okay to have standards and whatnot, but like I feel like people don't take time to actually learn about people. Where it's like on a first date, it's like, well, tell me about this. Like, why is that, or how did that make you feel? Like the most basic questions, I feel like are oftentimes being overlooked. And
Hmm.
that yeah, like you were saying, that just creates the foundation, which is ultimately the most important thing.
Yeah. The decline of curiosity, the decline of like of wanting to know more about people beyond the surface.
Hmm.
And the reality is that what you're stuck with is what's beyond the surface. Like when the looks fade, when the clout fades, when the when if right now they work at some company and blah 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 blah, and you could be with someone now and you marry them, and in 3 years that company cuts them off and that $200,000 salary is gone. Then what?
Hmm.
Like excuse me, you're stuck with what's beneath the exterior and and I just like it's what kind of scares me the most. It's I always I always say like Big Brother is the point of view I'm coming at conversations from, because I'm like, those of you younger than me, I'm a little scared. Like, I need you to be a little deeper. I need
Hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
I need you to be more concerned with like fundamental things because that will completely shape like how you get through the various situations, right? Like the ways in which you're able to navigate life's highs and lows, because the reality is that life will bring you highs and lows no matter what,
Hmm.
whether you want them or not. It is just the natural, it's the natural evolution of life. And so, yeah, there's got to be some kind of, and I mean, honestly, there, I have like this list of like all these books that I could write, and like, I'm toying between, okay, do I start with something rooted in like, like bettering oneself and so forth? Because I'm kind of writing two at the same time, and then another one is rooted in like more so relationships, right, and dating, and really like fundamentals, like how to actually like really date like
Hmm.
and rooted in like becoming your own best self and also entering into the dating scene, going on dates, like like manners, like those kinds of things. And so it's this fascinating thing of like where do you kick it all off. But it's kind of like you said, sadly, it, as I have kind of navigated everything digitally the last like year and a half or so, it's been interesting how many younger people's like parents did not instill simple fundamentals in them. I have been genuinely shocked at that. Like, that's the only word I can use is shocked. Like, I mean, it's been jarring. But there's just like baseline fundamental things like people just don't know. And I think that a lot of people are receptive to it from me because I don't come at it from a place of judgment. Like, it's not your fault that your parents didn't tell you anything. Like,
Hmm.
like if there's anyone to judge, it's your parents.
Yeah.
But like, why am I going to judge you? Like,
Right.
you're like, it's like you're 22. Like, you didn't like you're not going to learn it from the air, like
Hmm.
kind of thing. But that's been very interesting to observe. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love what you said about like getting deeper, and because life is unpredictable, especially like right now in the last handful of years, like
Yeah.
whether it's a pandemic or like the job market, like literally yesterday, Oracle, one of the biggest companies, just laid off 30,000 people in the span of a day, like with a single email. So it's
Yeah.
like if you are chasing those superficial things like a salary or whatever it is, like that's not a strong foundation. And
Mhm.
I've made videos about this in the past where it's like I want to be with someone where it's like no matter what happens, like we could be living in a cardboard box, and like as long as we have each other, like we know that like we have that strong foundation. Like who do you want
Mhm.
to be when your parents pass away? Who do you want to be if like if your partner gets diagnosed with cancer? How are you going to show up? If you get diagnosed with like all these real life things that you may not have any control over, it's like
Mhm.
ask yourself these questions, and like that brings so much clarity. But I don't know if it's just like those things aren't thought of or they're not a priority. And like you were saying, how it all ties in together. Like I've noticed over the last handful of years, the economy is getting worse. So I feel like people are becoming more traditional in their preferences.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you've noticed this trend as well, is like an overemphasis on financial stability in a partner, or like different qualities that are a reflection of a worsening economy, where it's like people's jobs may not be as stable, finances may not be as stable, everything around us getting more expensive. So the inclination to look for someone that has a high paying job and stability and benefits and all these things is increased. Like I don't know if there's a direct correlation there or what, but I don't know. I feel like in the last couple of years, I'm like, I wonder if that is a correlation that can be drawn, is like things are getting worse in the material reality of people's lives. So they're trying to latch on to any sort of upward mobility that they can via a partner. Like
Mhm.
I don't know.
It's an interesting thing to explore. I to be very honest, I have noticed that. And something I've also noticed is there's a definite correlation in one's upbringing and like personal familial security and the desire for that. Because, like, I will say this, my female friends who like they have trusts or like, they're quite comfortable, like, they don't have certain, like, they don't need a guy you know what I mean? Like
Hmm.
they need like their parents are like find a good guy that's loyal, that's not gonna cheat, do anything like that, that's gonna be a good co-parent kind of thing.
Hmm.
Versus the girls who don't have the security, there is definitely more of a demand for like the material goods, the like proof of income or things like that, right? And it's why I don't know if you saw, what I said the other week, but like, I said about the prenup in one of the videos. I'm like, everyone needs to have a prenup. Like, you don't know what may happen. And the truth of the prenup is, especially when people get really, I'm a Christian and I believe in a prenup. Like, I mean, the reality of it is what a prenup does is it is just a very clean and cut agreement with you and your significant other that's done when you were in a happy state.
Hmm.
You don't want to be debating or fighting over finances, assets, and more, especially when children are, in the mix as well, when you are not in a happy, copacetic state. You want to be doing that when, you are in the best of states. Also, too, like, I mean, for like my husband and I, our families have businesses. Like, there's just certain, like, there needs to be separation of things, right?
Hmm.
Like, if you are eventually going to inherit like stocks or different, things like that, shares, voting, to board, whatever. All that needs to be clear, clean, like
Right.
crystal. And so, um, again, for those who don't do the prenup, whatever, the government makes the decision for you.
Hmm.
And there were so many people that like just like responded, and some even messaged me and they were like, you just woke something up for me. I never thought of it that way. And I'm like, yeah, when you don't have a prenup, like you're leaving it up to the government. And I was like, I think sometimes a lot of people, especially religious people, they've been deceived into thinking that the government and God are one. And I was like, it's because we said the Pledge of Allegiance every morning of our lives growing up. And so we think one nation under God, and we think that the nation and God are one. They're not one. They're not one. The government is not God. And
Hmm.
so when it comes to that, it's like, no, you still need to have that, no matter what your religion is, just to have that clarity and ensure that, things don't go down a disturbing path in the event that, separation ends up being the outcome down the line. So,
Yeah. And like depending on the state you're in, like it could,
hmm,
it could favor one person significantly over the other or like grant certain protections or yeah,
absolutely.
and it's like serious things that need to be thought about before because like a marriage is involving the state in the relationship. Like that's making it official on a higher level. And it's like there's so many things that are legally implied with that that a lot of people don't even consider.
Oh yeah, I say that. I mean, I say that marriage is one of the biggest business deals of your life, and like people don't like that because it's been romanticized. But I'm like, take the
Hmm.
romanticization out of it. It's a business deal. Like you are choosing to legally make this person your partner. It's as if you're going into a business partnership and whatever else. And
Hmm.
and like, would you go into a business partnership without clean, clear contracts? No, you wouldn't. Or I mean, if you did, you're foolish.
Right.
Like, and so it's like, why not go into marriage with the same thing?
Right.
Like, so
And
yeah.
that reminds me of a part of the documentary when I forget his name, but one of the guys is married and they have kids and
Yes.
there's that part
I think
where
it's Jason, maybe.
I'm not sure he's like from
There's,
Louisiana, lives in Miami
oh,
or Boca
yep, I know
Raton or
exactly what
something.
you're talking. Correct. Yep.
And they ask his wife, well, I guess she's not his wife, but um, his significant other, Louis Theroux's like, "Oh, are you guys married?" And he's like, "No." And he's like, "I
Mm.
didn't want to get the state involved." And Louis like, "Well, like, what if you guys break up?" And the guy's like, "Well, at least it was a good experience, like I got kids, like this and that." And you can see like the woman's face, like all of a sudden she has this realization of like, "Oh, if he just wants to leave me, like." I'm fucked. Like I have
Exactly.
nothing,
Yep.
nothing. Because
No
especially
claim to
like,
any of it.
yeah, and like you can tell, like obviously all of his stuff is tied up in his business and his whatever he does, his scams and whatnot. Like she's not involved in any of that. And there's like that moment of like, oh fuck, and it's like,
Oh, I'm gonna get fucked if his businesses go under. Like, yeah.
or if you,
No,
yeah,
I've told I mean any of my female friends, I tell them I'm like, you need to have some kind of like monthly stipend, like if you're going to be home with the kids or whatever. And if and if it's reversed, the same. Like if it's a woman that's like a CEO or something and the husband's at home, whoever's at home, I'm like there needs to be some kind of like consistent something that is, set aside for that person, whether given to them monthly or put into like, some kind of account or
Fund or something.
whatever
Yeah.
that's accessible down the line, and in again, that's the beauty of a prenup. You can set all the terms, right? If no divorce, comes, then the money reverts into like college, a college trust or education, whatever it is. But it's like make sure that you're gonna be okay because so many people they just release it all and then dedicate these lives. I mean, that's been one of the most fascinating things to be on TikTok is like, I mean, to see these like women like, I mean, just bawling their eyes out because after 20 years their husband's trading them in for the younger model that's 20 years younger. And I'm like, this is not a new trope. Like this has happened for, a very long time. And, numerous people want to believe they're the exception, but let's be honest, better safe than sorry.
Right.
And so it's one of those where it's just like, be smart, be safe. Like, you have to look out for yourself, because no one can ever predict what their significant other will do down the line or what they will be influenced by or whatever else. Like,
Hmm.
it's unpredictable. And so it's just better safe than sorry. Keep it clean, keep it easy. And I mean, I'll be honest with you. I will never have respect for those men that like leave their wives of 20 years high and dry. Like to me, a wife is owed or significant other in whatever capacity, if they've been by your side, been your mental support every day when you get home, like all those kinds of things, they are owed at least like some degree of like comfort,
Hmm.
some degree of comfort. It doesn't necessarily have to be at like, whatever the scale that, life together was, but like you need to ensure they have a home, they have a car, they have money and so forth. Because at the end of the day, that's the other parent to your children. Like, and what kind of disgusting, selfish, self-serving person are you to just leave them high and dry? Like,
Yeah,
you're a horrible person. Anyone who does that. So anyway.
absolutely. And I think sometimes that message doesn't get across because there is like the emotional aspect of it where it's like, oh, so you're assuming that my husband's going to leave me, or you're assuming that my whoever partner is going to leave me. And
Mhm.
it's like, you just never know what's going to, like, even if you don't have things in writing, whether it be a trust or a will or a prenup, like
Mhm.
all of these things, like, let's say your partner gets in a car accident and dies and there's no documentation of anything, like, then that goes to the state and then the state decides. And it's like
Yep.
you have to be orderly. And it's like you said, not necessarily doing it out of emotion, but like getting all your ducks in a row because whether it's death or infidelity or like whatever, God forbid, may happen, like it's
Mhm.
important and it's important to come at it from like that place of logic rather than being like, oh no, we're just assuming the worst. It's like you really don't know, and it's good to be safe. It really is about safety.
It is. People have to detach from emotions when it comes to like legal liabilities and like finances and different things like that. It's like that's business. Like you need to detach from the emotions when it comes to that. And I think that it's something that a number of people struggle to do. Um, Oftentimes, if we're being transparent, more so women than men. And if we are honest, there are men that like they do weaponize that. They're very much so aware, that women do tend to be more emotional regarding those things. Obviously, not always, but just, in terms of statistics, that is the case. And men definitely weaponize that, which is why, at least for me, any women I know, I'm like, we're not playing these games, like,
Right.
kind of thing. And it's why I do occasionally try to, make sure that I speak to, the women as well. It's an interesting thing, just like trying to balance it all, right? Like I've had so many people say, like, you're one of the few people in here that I see that like you talk to everyone. And I'm like, well, yes, because if I'm talking about relationships, love, different things like that, it takes two to tango. Like it makes no sense to spend all this time talking to one side and not the other. Like there needs to be some kind of alignment, you
Hmm.
know, in certain regards so that we are coming together in different ways and seeing like, okay, this is what's being talked about, that's what's being talked about, and so forth. And like for me, I think that it's so fun that like the girls like have so much fun with like From Boys to Men. Like they think it's great. Like
Hmm.
the number of like random girls I've had be like, I sent this to my husband and made him send it in his group chat, or I sent this to my son and made him send it to, or like it's just like the best. Like I love it. It's so
Yeah.
fun. And yeah,
Yeah. And I think you touched on something interesting when you said that like sometimes men will weaponize like the emotional aspect of it, which also reminded me about the documentary, like to go back to that relationship that we were just talking about where they weren't married. And
Yes.
she was talking about, from my memory, she like came from a very broken home and instability, and he came from an abusive home. And it was like, he can provide this life where it's like this beautiful house and nice cars and they have kids. And she's like, that's good for me because I didn't have that stability when I
Hmm.
was growing up. And because he's providing that from her, he's like, okay, we don't have to get married. Like, I don't want to get the state involved, but you have access to all of this. And it's like he's weaponizing that trauma that isn't healed and being
Yep.
like, oh, well, you get this life that you never got to live. You have this stability, this foundation. However, like, if you don't let me go hook up with these other women, I can leave you and then you're left with nothing. So it is very weaponizing.
No, absolutely. And I love that you grasped that so clearly because people's traumas are weaponized against them all the time. And it's why I was telling people, uh, I'm like, you need to seek therapy. Like, you need to figure out what those traumas are and attack them and resolve them because whether people are even aware of their own traumas or not, there are people in the world that are very good at reading those kinds of things. And
Hmm.
so it's like, if you're not working to, resolve those and so forth, the predators of the world, they're going to prey on those things and they're going to sense it. They're going to sense your insecurity. They're going to sense numerous other things and prey on it. And
Hmm.
so it's, I mean, even with, I find it so interesting that there's like so much rhetoric, especially from older people being like, college is useless, this, that, and da 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 da. And it's like, okay, you hear women consistently talking about, they want to meet guys on their level or better and so forth. And then you're also, especially older adults, you're telling men to not go to college. So then you're actually making it harder for them to meet women because women literally, it's like double the amount of women are getting degrees versus
Hmm.
men. So you're adding layers to the difficulties for men, and it doesn't make sense. And it's fascinating when you also look at some of the men that say those kinds of things because, you'll do a little bit of whatever. And it's like, oh, he was married for 30 years and his wife left him 3 years ago. So now everything he says is about women being the worst. But like
Hmm.
for those 30 years, women were great.
Right.
And it's like, okay, just because you're 60 something and that happened to you and whatever, you had 30 great years. It's not all, for nothing because it came to an end. And I feel like people have to understand also that, oh, excuse me, they have to understand that sometimes people come into your life for a season and a reason,
Hmm.
and then they go, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's like cherish the time that you had with them, cherish the love and the bond that you were able to share, and continue on. Like, when it comes to, love and friendships and relationships and all of that, I don't really believe in like there is one person. I believe
Hmm.
that when it comes to love and relationships, you meet someone and you love them and you choose to continue to build a relationship with them. And I believe that with friendships as well. I don't believe there's like one best friend that like is made in this world for you.
Right.
No, it takes work and consistency and devotion and discipline. And the same applies to, romantic relationships. It's
Hmm.
choosing to be together, to build a life, to, a number of different things. And the romanticization of everything and sometimes I'll see different people like, oh, if he gets on your nerves every few days, or I'm like, do you know how much, like, I'm like, my husband gets on my nerves like a couple times a month, but that's because like like I mean, we joke like I'm a guy, but I have like a period at least like once or twice a month where it's just like it'll be a day or two and I'm in a mood. I'm like, get out,
Hmm.
like, and it's not him, it's everyone. It's like I don't want to be bothered by anyone, like
Yeah.
kind of thing. And it's like that has nothing to do with him. That has nothing to do with
Hmm.
me. And I'm self-aware enough to know that.
Right.
And so it's something where I think for a number of people, there's almost like this this disdain to face the reality of who they may be
Mm.
and the way that they may show up in different relationships and places, like that. And it's like, okay, well, if I just make it everyone else's thing or whatever, then oh, and it's like, no.
Right.
That's not. It's like it takes two. It's a collective thing. You have to, you have to weigh and think about all the different aspects. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's so important. Like going to therapy, like I wish like therapy was free. Like I wish that it was
I
like
do too.
a resource that just like everyone could access. Cause like, I mean, throughout, so I'm 25 now and like for
Uh-huh.
the last between like 20 and 25 trying to date, like I was very into self-help and like therapy and like go doing all these things, right? And then I would like try to go on dates with people and I'd be like people don't even know how they're responding or how they're thinking about things or like you were saying people don't know the trauma that they've been through or they can't recognize certain things about themselves or like a conflict arises and like I'm trying to talk through it or like sit down or come from a place of understanding and they're reacting from like a place like it's very evident of like oh like this is very like reactionary like type of thing where it's like no I just want to talk about it but so many people are just going through the world unhealed from things that they may not even like be aware of and then they
Hmm.
make it like you were saying they make it where it's like everybody else's problem and it's like every once in a while you have to hold up a mirror to yourself and like that I think that's a big part of dating as well is like me personally is like trying to realize things about how I show up in relationships or like my short-sightedness on things or my blind spots or like how I may relate things from my past into the present. And if I wasn't working on those things, like it would be a disaster. So it's like it's so important for people to go through that. And unfortunately, it's not as accessible as I think it should be. And you were mentioning like education and like how women are statistically like more educated than men
Hmm.
nowadays and that also ties back into something that we touched on before of like you were saying how your friends that are financially well off like they don't need to rely on a man for financial resources or material security and it's like that is a real thing like a couple decades ago like women couldn't get a credit card women couldn't go to college women couldn't take out a loan for a house like all of these things that they legally couldn't do now they can do like they can go to school they can be educated they can buy a house they can start a business like all of these things that they can be self-sufficient like
Hmm.
they don't need you and I think I've seen you make videos where it's like she doesn't need you like and
Yeah.
it's, it's
And
so
it's like a lot of the men, they can't wake up to that. And I'm like, you realize, like, if you, like, sometimes I'm like, I don't know what facts you're or stats you're reading. You're not reading an EDU. You're not reading a, because I'm like, statistically, like, genuinely, women don't need you. And I'm like, this is also rooted in the fact that, like, let's be real, a lot of their boomer dads or grandparents are giving them comfort. Like, there's a few of my female friends who, like, they got houses in their mid 20s because their dad or their grandfather paid their whole down payment so much that, like, they have a tiny little house payment.
Mhm.
And it's like, I'm like these guys, I'm like, do you understand? Like, I'm like, you really don't understand. Like, there are dads, grandfathers, whomever, like, setting up these, like, daughters and granddaughters to not need you.
Mhm.
Like, to not need you. Like, and I think the thing that is the most sad is for some reason they think that regressing and overturning laws like rovers and things like that, right? Let's take away women's autonomy, let's take away women's ability to choose and things like that. is going to be their saving grace. But I'm like, you don't realize these women's fathers, grandfathers, mothers, whatever, they will pack up these girls and these girls will go move to Paris and Spain and all the like, I'm like, are you okay? Like, they don't have to stay here. Like, they like a number of these girls, there's enough opportunity or, whatever, where they can just pick up and leave the country
Hmm.
and go meet someone in another place. Like, this world is 9 billion people. So, trying to turn everything back to somehow trap women in the home or what, like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
It's not. And I'm just like, who is the mastermind behind this stupid plan? It's idiotic. It's just not rooted in common sense. Like it, I don't know. Like it really is. I mean, it's ridiculous,
Yeah.
honestly.
And like you saw so many of the people like in the documentary are like women don't know what they want. They think they know what they want, or they think they know what they need, but like we actually know better for them. And it's like that regressive mentality of like we know better than them about what they need or what they want. It's like they literally don't need you. But like the cool thing about that is that they have the ability to want you if you're a good fucking
Mhm.
person, where it's like
Exactly.
now you as a man are free from like this shackle of patriarchy of like yeah you don't like she doesn't need you to buy a house, she doesn't need you to like do all these things that she wants to do, she can do whatever she wants, but like now you get a chance to work on yourself. But so many men like are lost because like oh she doesn't need me, and it's like yeah but now you get to get wanted. Like I would much rather personally have someone want me than need me. Like I don't want someone that like
Exactly.
is like oh I need like I'm only with you because you're like my stepping stone to you're my means to an end for a house, or you're my means to an end for some sort of stability. Like I
Exactly.
want you to want me because you love me, because like I show up for you, you show up for me, like we have this foundation of love and respect. Like I don't want you to be like needing me as a means to an end.
And it's like that's what so many of them are struggling to grasp. And I'm just like, okay, like I'm only gonna spend so much time like harping on that and then moving on. But it's like you actually, as like men, especially straight men, I'm like, you are in such a cool position because like you actually get to have women choose you because like they want you, not because they need something from you. Like women used to be with men, like marry men because they didn't like they couldn't like they didn't have an option, like it
Right.
was literally. And the sad thing is there are some men who, I mean this is just the truth of it, they lack self-confidence and they really at their core they know how shitty of a prospect they are, that like their only hope for themselves is for a woman to need them in that way. And honestly, also from, I mean, from what I've gathered too, just in conversations with men and so forth, like naturally men want to like feel a purpose, right? Men want to, in some regards, feel needed, but it's just like you should want to be needed because like you have a family, like, like your kid needs you to be a present dad or things like that. Not
Hmm.
because like you are needed for access to essential things.
Right.
Like that should not be the root of that. But for some reason, numerous men, they think that. But also, I think it's rooted in the fact that like a number of these old men are still the ones like with the biggest mics, right? Like last year, what's his face? I mean, it's part of what prompted me to start trying to write a book. But like, what's his face? Oh my God. Oh, Scott Galloway. He wrote a book that was like what was it? Like Letters to Young Men or something like that. The book is basically a memoir. It should have been called Scott Galloway's memoir because most of the book is him talking about how he was in the right place at the right time, how he, this and that, this worked out, this didn't, but then this other thing did, and da da da. And it's like, okay, that's not the modern age, and none of that is helpful to a man in the modern age. What can a guy do now? What can he do now in 2020, excuse me, in 2026 to actually improve his life?
Hmm.
You talking about all the good luck you had? Great, good for you. It's not applicable in any way in 2026. Like,
Yeah.
are you okay? And it's like, again, but those are the issues with like these old men, like still, it's like they don't even know how to give advice in the modern age because they don't actually know what it is to struggle. They're living in these bubbles. They're, constantly at like the private clubs and all these other things. They don't know what it is, like boots on the ground. Like they don't hear from men these different things. I mean, like one of the craziest things has been like but I'm also glad that a number of guys have felt okay to say, but like I've had guys write me and be like, I ripped up my letters because of you, like you're like they're like ending at letters, and I'm like,
Wow.
what? Okay, whoa, ooh, this is intense.
Wow.
Like
Yeah.
and like literally like me reading it, like like literally just like crying and like all kinds of things. But it's like, or two, like another thing, I mean, and from different scenarios, right? Like guys, I don't know if you knew this, but like men are at the highest like chances of ending it
Hmm.
when they like the first year after a divorce.
Hmm. Hmm.
And it's because they feel so like alone, like they have put so much of their, I guess you could say, like companionship and support like in that significant other. And so it's just at such a level of intensity. And I've had like at least like five different guys that were like in that gap, like, post divorce or whatever, like reach out. I'm like, okay, like, oh my gosh, like, okay, this is doing like something's going
Right.
somewhere. Or just other random younger guys being like, okay, I feel a little bit like, okay, I can just like, try to just take it day by day and get somewhere. And I'm like, you know what? Okay, we're just like, we're gonna keep going because I'm like, this is the point. Like, if it helps a few people, okay, like it's doing something.
Hmm.
And again, it's just that ability to give some kind of hope in a way that is, I think, approachable, right? And like void of judgment.
Hmm.
Yeah, because a lot of people, they just come at it with judgment or just like, really having conversations rooted in what did or didn't work for them. And it's like, no, 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 you need to give advice that people can do from different avenues, almost not rooted in yourself, but rooted in like something that is approachable to various people from various walks of life.
Hmm.
I think sometimes a lot of people's advice is a little too rooted in like themselves. Like actually detach yourself from the advice a little bit,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like you were saying earlier, like they come at it from such a black and white place where it's like literally every single person has a different experience or has different
Yep.
wants and desires. And it's like putting out this advice where it's like, this should be the standard. It's like either unattainable or unachievable or unrealistic or doesn't even like concern someone else. Like if two people like all they want to do is like play Mario Kart together all day and they're happy and they love each other and respect each other, like if that works for them, that works for them. Like, like there's
Mm-hmm.
so many things where it's like it's such an individualized experience of this idea of companionship or such a subjective experience. And
Mm-hmm.
like I can say from my personal experience, like some of the best dates I've ever been on were just like little random things where it was just a matter of connection rather than like I've gone on extravagant dates and I'm lucky enough to be in a position to do something like that where it's like a fancy dinner and this and a hotel and like all of these things and like you check all the boxes, but there wasn't the like connection from person to person. And then I've been on
Yeah.
dates where it's like we go grab a coffee and we're in the park and like doing something like little like that. And we like sit and actually connect for hours. And like I have so much in common with this person. And I'm like, this date was incredible. But on paper, you, according to the internet, like one date would have been like, oh, this is the date, like a nice steak dinner and a hotel and all
Mm-hmm.
these things. But it was like the personal connection wasn't there. So like if you go based off of these generalized dating advices that are being put out, like it may not just make sense to you. And it's like if you're not in a position to do that, then you can't take that advice, you know?
Oh, for sure. I always say being like having a good date that is driven by like the like what's the saying? It's like the show pony of it all. It's like
Hmm.
by the whatever, like, oh, woo, it's like there's a shit. Anyway, everyone's gonna like a helicopter ride. Everyone, like, okay, that's not but it's like if you can fucking like walk around with someone and just vibe and like, chill in a park, whatever, like get a call, like, and then you just like touch and it's like there's like you're like, oh shit, like, like, oh, I mean, really, it's just like that, like
Yeah.
energy. I'm such like an energy. I can tell you're similar. Like, but it's like energy and just like that ability to like kind of play off one another and have
Hmm.
things flow effortlessly. It's incomparable. And it's not something that happens very often, which is why when it does, it's like, now that's cool. Like that's major. That's something that is again uncommon. Like people remember that.
Hmm.
But it's like, yeah, no, like going on some like grand, yeah, okay, whatever. Like who gives a fuck? Like I mean, that is not like because too, it's like, does the person actually like do they are they loving the connection? Are they feeling that? Or are they feeling like the experience?
Right.
And I saw something the other day and it was talking about it was specifically talking about like women in relationships and how sometimes women get more caught up in the story than the reality and
Mm.
how like it was talking about like women sometimes like giving guys a chance again and so forth and that like for some women, they get so caught up in the story, like oh, we got back together again because it was meant to be, and da 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 da, that they actually don't always sit and really think through the logistics. Like they just love the idea of the story of like we were meant to be, we got back together, and we got married and so forth. But there are certain instances where it's like, you shouldn't have gotten back together. Like you, and I mean, obviously, everyone's guilty of that. Like men are too, and
Of
so forth.
course.
But in this specific instance, it was, referring to it regarding women. And I thought that's so fascinating because I definitely have had female friends that have like, and I'm like, babe, is this right? Like this, come on, like this is not right. And they're like, yeah, I know, kind of thing.
It's like the
So.
hallmark of it all. It's like the
Yeah,
first Hallmark story.
exactly.
Yeah.
Oh, not the Hallmark movies. Oh my gosh. I can't.
Yeah, like I have a friend and she like went on a date with this a second date he bought her this showed up with like this bag, like this purse
Uh-huh.
for her like as a gift. It was their second date, like couple $1,000 purse, right?
Uh-huh.
And like once a week was sending like big things of roses, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars of roses and all this stuff. And I was like, "Oh, whoa, like that's cool. That's nice of him." Like, did you guys laugh? Did you have a
Uh-huh.
good time? Like, and like, she doesn't even talk to the guy anymore. But like,
Yeah.
that just goes to show you, like, you could pull out all these bells and whistles and like you're at an amusement park or something. But like, if you're just a shitty person or like don't have that connection, like you don't even have to be a shitty person, but like if you don't have that connection, it doesn't even matter. And like,
Yeah.
I feel like the people always talk about how like the bar is in hell, the bar is so low, but it is like just being a good person and having a good personality and working on yourself and being confident in how you speak and being curious and interested in the other person. That
Hmm.
goes so extremely far. And people get so caught up in like the vanity of it all of like, oh, I have to do this, I have to do that, where it's like you really don't.
You really don't. The vanity consumes people. Like it really does. And honestly, like I mean, even like people in my life, I've told them I'm like, you need to get off social media. Like specifically in my personal opinion, Instagram and like Facebook, like that family of stuff, it it perpetuates comparison. Like it really does. I don't know why, but it's like that doesn't happen with TikTok. At least like for me and like people that I know that use it, like they don't really fall into that hole with TikTok, but it's like those other ones, like I don't know why. I guess it's because you're constantly getting shoved like people having kids and all these different things on those others, but like you're not really on TikTok, at least like from, my from what I see. And I think that it's like that really does make a difference. Like I don't really use Instagram and any of those things anymore. Like I don't even post or whatever, like maybe once a
Hmm.
year kind of thing because it's just I'm like there's nothing there. Like there's nothing there that like feels interesting, fun, cool, whatever else. It's just not like it's not the vibe in my opinion. And there are just certain places I think sometimes when you detach from it, it really does like help your mental health drastically. Yeah, specifically with those, in my opinion, especially when it comes to dating and so forth, because it's like I mean, I know on TikTok, obviously, occasionally people will post these like different, like, things or these like montages or whatever, but I don't know. There's something about like when it hits or like when I see it on TikTok, I don't really, it doesn't, I don't know, it doesn't feed me any kind of, it doesn't like bring any comparison or anything like that up in me. If anything, most of the time I think it's like corny when it's overdone. I'm just like,
Hmm.
who is doing all that for this holiday? Are you okay? Like that's psychotic. Like that does not look cool. That looks corny. Like, like I'm like whatever. Like no, I mean I don't know. Maybe that's also rooted in like my upbringing. Like I was never that kid where it was like nothing happening during the year and then at Christmas like every no like my mom like it would be April and my mom's like let's go to Vegas and go shopping. Like it's April 3rd. Like let's just
Yeah,
like
I mean, hell, you
whatever.
guys were at
Like
Disneyland every 9 weeks.
oh shut up. But it was never like, there was never any like I don't know. I'm like, okay, it's a holiday. Like you don't have to do that much chill. Like kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think like getting in reality and like getting off the internet and like
Uh-huh.
go touch grass. Like so many of these people, like whether it
Hmm.
is people posting things on Instagram where it's like the look at me comparison type of things, if that's what people are feeling, or like on I feel like TikTok is more geared towards like advice of like if he invites you to this and you do this, then that and it's like these generalized advice. I feel like that's
Uh-huh.
more TikTok world.
For
And
sure.
so often I see those and I'm like, go outside, like phone a friend, go talk to someone. Like
Literally.
everyone's like, if he invites you to coffee, dump him. And I'm like, what? Like I love coffee. Like, what do you mean? Like,
Literally. Oh my gosh. Exactly.
and like like again, I understand of where some people are coming from of like, that's a sign he's not financially stable or like this or that. And it's like there's so many generalizations that are made.
But
And
also, like, sorry, just sign. But like, really quick before we, I'm like, but also, if he's 25, what 25-year-old man is like financially stable? Like, get a grip, people. Like, I'm like, if he's financially stable, like truly, like in the whatever form at 25, I'm like, either A, he happens to be like one of those guys that was able to like develop something or build something really great at a young age, which is not common, I'm like, or two, there's some kind of like financial stability there from family and so forth, which like, cheers, like God bless, like we love, but it's like, let's be serious. Like if he's a working class man in Minnesota or something like that at 25, he's figuring it out. Like, can we get a grip? Like, and it's this thing of, I'm like, it's like there's this false perception of the amount of men that are stable at such a young age. And I'm like, that's not no like that's not no like it's just crazy. It
mhm.
really is crazy.
Yeah, and that like feeds into these creators where like everyone's pushing like millionaire by 25. I make 100
Exactly.
grand a month or whatever, like all
Drop
these
ship
things.
and all that shit. I'm like, fuck you. Like,
Right. And then those are the
yeah,
guys that are like the Tiki Talkies and the all those guys where they like sell these courses and all this because they prey on the feeling that young men have of like, oh, I should be financially stable. I should be able to afford this. And then that's also perpetuated through dating advice of like, if he's not doing this, then that. And it's just like it gets so like wound up and feeds into one each other and self-perpetuating and self-fulfilling. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy at some point. And I'm like, the dating advice you're taking from someone that lives born and raised in Beverly Hills and has a trust fund and is like on a yacht every other week,
hmm,
that doesn't apply to you if you're like in Minnesota or like Iowa City or like that doesn't mean like you can't have a luxurious life or whatever, but like we have to ground ourselves in reality. You have to go outside. You have to like talk to people. And I feel like when you talk to people in the real world, it's
hmm,
so different than online. And like as a creator online, like I'm online a lot, which
Mhm.
I'm sure you can relate to, just like trying to keep your finger on the pulse and like what people are talking about and whatnot. But like almost every day, I'm like, I can't be on, like it's too much. Like you have to get offline and go in the real world, like go talk to people. I loved your video where you were like, go to a dive bar. Like if you want to meet someone, go to a dive bar and just like get a beer and talk to someone. And people were like so up in arms, being like, I'm not going to a dive bar. And you're like, okay, then don't go to a dive
Then
bar.
don't fucking go. Like, and then literally it's all these girls in the comments being like, oh, I met the top plastic surgeon in my city, and now me and my three girlfriends are getting free injectables. Oh, I met my husband who's a this at the, I met a football player at a dive bar in my city a couple years ago. All these things. And I'm like, yeah, I know because I'm like, yeah, I know because like I've known I know men of various ages and so forth, and I know men who they do the private thing or whatever, private clubs and da 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 and whatever, but also like they like a chill dive bar because they can go there exactly as I said and relax. Like it's not. I'm like it's like people don't think about that. I'm like a guy in New York who is going to one of those like private places or whatever. He's going to be noticed because he's a businessman and the people in the business space know who he is, especially if he's a CEO or something, and they're going to be hungry to try and like social climb.
Right.
But if he goes to a freaking dive bar, he can chill. He is, whatever. I'm like, that's why I'm like, I've literally met numerous women that are like very comfortable, or like, whether themselves or their husband or whatever, and they met at like places like that, like
Hmm.
unexpected places. And that's why I'm like, yeah, go.
The people are missing the message. It's like if you don't want to go to a dive bar, like what do you like? Like
Yeah,
go to a basketball game,
exactly.
go to an arcade, like go to the ice rink. Like
Just get out of your fucking house and put your phone down.
yeah,
Exactly. And a number of people were able to grasp that, which I was like, thank God, because I'm like, I'm using that as a catalyst for the conversation,
right.
but it's like there needs to be some kind of example. And I'm like, to be honest, like, especially for the women, I'm like, a dive bar is a good recommendation because like what, you're gonna go to the local golf clubs? There's not gonna be a single guy in his freaking 20s during the day. It's gonna be a middle-aged married man trying to hit on the golf cart girl or whatever. I'm like, let's be serious.
Who's
Use
gonna
your brains. Like, there's not a ton of places where a guy in his 20s or 30s is going to be hanging out during the night, like, or even at night. Like, they're working, they're gymming, they're like, and like this one girl that does a lot of like relationship based conversations so forth too. She was like, "You're doing God's work," and I'm like, "Yeah," because like, what the fuck are we talking about? Like, I'm like, people are like giving these long lists, or women being like, why don't the straight guys come to the like chic bars and stuff? And I'm like, because they don't feel comfortable there. Like it's that simple. Like it's really that simple. And then what if they go there? What are you all going to start making videos and saying they're all gay? Because that's the new thing. Like guys do the slightest little thing and they're gay. Like what are you talking about? Like I get frustrated sometimes because I'm like, girls, I love you, but like you are the reason why, like in a number of these instances, men are fearful of approaching and talking to you because like they do the slightest little thing and like you're calling them gay for everything. If they breathe a certain way, they're gay. Like, are we serious? They're not gay. Like it's 2026. If they, I've said this before in multiple. I'm like, if a guy wants to be gay, he'll be gay. Like, if he wants to fuck a dude, he will. Like, it's 2026. Like, I mean, I'm just like, please, like, everything is not gay. Like, there's a difference between someone being like soft or someone being, a little feminine or different things like that than like being gay. Like, it's not the same. And the generalization of that is very much so. I'm like, this is what is making guys like very touch and go with shit. And if you were smart, you would wake up and like relax it, with all of that. But I don't know. There's like a whole whatever.
Yeah, that's like a
I
whole
mean,
conversation.
especially I feel like the last 6 months, like I'm like, where are all these videos coming out of nowhere about like, gay, 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 whatever. But
Yeah, it's like a whole can of worms, and like I don't know. I don't even know how to approach the topic of conversation because it's like it does a lot of it comes back to like the patriarchy and misogyny and internalized misogyny in
mhm.
men and in women and in like it's like, oh, you want someone that takes care of themselves, but as soon as you see someone that takes care of themselves, they're gay. Or it's like one
Exactly.
thing
Like,
that one thing that really, I don't know, like I'll notice like when a man treats a woman really poorly, it's like and
he's
then
just being a man.
or they're like, oh, he cheated on me, he must be gay. And it's like, or he's a piece of shit. Like,
Yeah.
just because he treats you poorly doesn't mean he's gay. Like, because a man is misogynistic towards a woman, that doesn't mean he's homosexual. Like, we need to
I
stop
know.
conflating these two things. Like, I'll see
Yeah.
girls like June 1st, they're like, Happy Pride Month to my ex that cheated on me. And I'm like, well, did he cheat on you with a man? And they're like, no. And I'm like, I don't like, you're perpetuating
Yeah.
like these
It's like
stereotypes.
it's giving homophobic.
It's,
Like it is. It's like it's giving homophobic and
yeah,
like it's like let's have the conversation. Who knows? Maybe when we get off this I'll try to have the conversation. But it's just like you can't deem you can't deem every little thing that men do like on their, journey to trying to be better, trying to be men that you are attracted to and so forth as gay. Like, or they are gonna kind of do what a number of them have done, just been like, you know what, I'm gonna check out for a little bit. Like, people only have, and like, there's been some girls in my life that says to me, they're like, no, I get what you're saying. I'm like, people only have so much resilience when they are being consistently like hit with rejection. And I'm like, that's not to say that like you have to reject less or anything, but I'm like, at the same time, it's just like being conscious of like the amount of put down that's
mhm.
constantly, being put out there and being able to, again, um, e- just have an awareness of, okay, he's trying his best or he's not, because it does vary. There's situations where it's like, okay, he's trying his best or whatever, and then there's other ones where it's like, okay, that's not what's happening. Like, this is he's a little asshole, and okay, maybe he is gay or what. I mean, for me, I'm like, when I was younger, when someone was called gay or whatever, it's because like he was caught making out with a guy or something. Like there was a reason, in some regard. I feel, but and I feel like now it's like, I mean, especially if you're on TikTok or something like that, it's like I feel like some of the straights, like, they'll do the slightest of things, and it's like, and I've even had guys message me and be like, I want to dress better or this or that, but I feel like when I've tried before, like girls are literally questioning whether I'm gay, and I don't know what like my outfit has to do with my sexuality, and I'm like, honestly, boys, the only thing I can tell you is just like try to be as confident as possible, because it's like there's no way to get around, like, and
Mhm.
some of them I've literally told them, I'm like, literally say to them like, if I was gay I'd be gay, like I'm like, literally just start like responding like that, because it's like it's fucking ridiculous sometimes.
Mhm.
Like it's okay to say to women like, it's 2026, like if I was gay I'd be gay, like if I wanted to sleep with a guy I'd sleep with a guy, why would I be spending so much time trying to pursue you if I was gay?
Yeah.
And it's like sometimes like you do need to come at conversations like that with women and be like, okay, what is the logic behind that? And just out of curiosity, because like I everyone's pretty chill about like seemingly, unless like, or a lot of these like gay, or a lot of these women who claim to support gays like actually homophobic, like let's get to the truth of it,
Yeah.
kind of thing, right? And it is something like interesting to explore, because it's like you can't pick and choose when you're an ally and when you're homophobic.
Hmm.
You need to choose a path.
Yeah. Like that's been one thing that, I've noticed a lot is the homophobia in
Yeah.
people. And it's like there has to be like, because I feel like I have to say like some guys are just shitty. Like this, like the
Well,
dating
yeah.
pool isn't great. Like some guys are shitty. They don't show like we have to address like there is a severe issue with men being shitty. But then like that's a whole, I feel like I have to make that disclaimer, right? But then like conflating a man being shitty with him like, oh, he must be gay, he must be DL, like the whole conversation of like all these guys are DL, they treat you bad because they're DL. And it's like we're really like trampling into the realm of homophobia here where it's like, oh, you're further vilifying like this, you're creating this harmful stereotype where it's like if a man is bad to a woman, he must be gay because gay men are evil. Like it's like perpetuating these like stereotypes that are homophobic at their core. And
Hmm.
it's like we can't conflate the two where it's like, no, men need to take accountability, men need to take ownership for being shitty,
Hmm.
and we can't constantly be like, oh, he was bad to me or he abused me or this or that, he must be gay. Like I feel like there has to be, but the conversation feels like that can't be had. Like I see that
You know what
conversation
the
as doesn't
fix is,
end.
though? It's Here's the thing. I hate to say this, but it's like the truth. It's literally like guys calling other guys out. Like that is the fix. The men are like this is the truth. Men are not going to change from and like I've said this to my female friends. I'm like, women getting online and like screaming about their disdain for men and like whatever, like that's not making guys change. Like they don't they're like, "Oh, okay, women always yell about stuff." Like guys don't care. Like when women are doing that, I always say like it's cheap thrills. It's women wanting to give themselves a rush or wanting to find community in their disdain for men. But men are not actually listening. Men don't care. But men listen when other men call them the fuck out. Like, look at the way the guys listen when I call random shit out. Like, guys listen when guys call them out on the bullshit.
Hmm.
They don't listen like that when women do. And I can't explain as to why. It's the way of the mind. It's the I don't know. But it's like, and like the few women that, maybe at times they're receptive to it's, in terms of that kind of like criticism or need to shift, it'll be like a more assertive, more like almost like masculine communicating female. Like it's never, you get what I'm saying? There's
Hmm.
something I said to one of my friends, I was like, think about how many guys go into like the army or other things like that, and they're receptive to like that form of communication, almost like drilling, like whatever. I was like, that is like what, like, I mean, even when I look back at the first season of From Boys to Men, the videos that like did the best are the ones where I'm like yelling at them. Like, it's
Hmm.
like for some reason, guys just lock in when you're like, get the fuck up and get to work.
Hmm.
Like, like, it just is what it is. I don't know what in the mind. I don't know what, like maybe it's something where it's like for a lot of men they feel like, oh okay, okay, like okay, this person like actually cares, like it's, it, like they're revved up. I'm not really sure, but they're just not receptive to like to that. They're just like, okay, blah blah blah, this and that. And especially like, when I've researched some of the different manosphere stuff and like whatever else and just like read some of these like, comment sections and threads and different things or whatever, like a lot of them are like quite dismissive of women, which, I mean, is not shocking at all. It's very like representative of like that community. And so it's why, I think for myself and, the friends that I asked about whether I should, try or not, they're like, yeah, yeah, you should give it a go and just see because they're like who knows, like, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so,
And like,
mm,
I mean, it's likely rooted in, misogyny, like patriarchal structures where it's like you could be saying
for
the
sure.
exact same thing as a woman on TikTok, but a guy will just like scroll past a woman and disregard it. But if they see it coming from you, they'll be more receptive
Mhm.
just based off of like whether it be conditioning or things internalized or whatever it may be. But that it is real. Like there are studies
The
where it's like,
messenger matters.
yeah, unfortunately, the messenger
Yep.
does matter. And it's so like, it's strange because it's like sometimes I'll post videos and like calling out men for something or whatever, and the messenger matters. So like people will be like, "Oh, she's not gonna let you hit, bro," or like, "I hope she sees this," and it's like, I wonder if it's because like I'm a straight dude, they like see me as like trying to pander towards women rather than being like, "No, you need to like wake up to this thing." Like I wonder if that has something to do with it, where it's like I don't know. Do you know what I'm trying to get at here? Where it's like maybe if of you as a gay man being the messenger, it's like you're not in the same like dating market. Like you said, you're married, you're gay, like you're not a threat, but you're like trying to wake people up
No,
and like hold
thousand
them
percent. I think
accountable.
that that's 1000%. I think that that's why it does. Also, too, it's like there is a my friends say that like I have an interesting dichotomy where like there's like a softness of like a mom, but like a sternness of like a like I don't know how to describe it. And they're like, but they say there's an interesting dichotomy where like guys are able to kind of like, I guess like listen or, whatever in that vein, but also like I communicate in a stern way that like I think for some of them borders on feeling like a little crazy, but like I've like guys like crazy, especially straight guys. They like crazy. Like, I mean, there's all this rhetoric online, like, oh, I like It's like, no, they like the person that's crazy. They like the person that's like, oh, if someone tries to take you from me, like, I'm gonna like, like, I'm gonna handle them or whatever. Like for straight guys, they're like, oh yeah, they love me so much, they're gonna take someone out for me. It's literally the law. I tell people, I'm like, if I'm like, I have like a PhD in men, okay? Like, I know how guys work. Like, they like that. So it's like when I'm like doing what they're like, oh, this is crazy, but I like it. I'm like, I fucking know. What? I'm like, because I know you boys, you little assholes. Like, I know you. Like, yeah. But no, yeah. It's because
Uh,
like I'm a little fucking crazy, and they like it. Like, because guys like that. They feel loved when someone's crazy a little bit, And
mhm.
it's like, I mean, it is what it like. I don't need. For me, I'm like, I don't need to hyperanalyze it. I understand it, and like, we're gonna, whatever. But it's I think also too, I mean, this is like probably odd, whatever, but it's like there's always these random jokes like, oh, Prince is back, or like, oh, Michael Jackson back, or did it. But it's like if you think about it, they reference those people with me, but those are two of the biggest icons in the world. So even as a gay guy, there's a comfortability with the visual of me
Mm.
because I'm visually reminiscent of people that have been like icons in culture. So there's not this like weird like disconnect. There's almost like a familiarity.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
Yeah, it's kind of like how, like even people that are like, oh, maybe like they don't like gay people, but it's like they like Elton John. You get what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like I think for some of them when they're watching me, it's almost like in some instances it's like in their mind at least it processes it almost in the same vein as like a performer or something. I'm
Mhm.
like, I don't care what it is that like I don't care what the psychological whatever as long as you're listening. So, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the way that I look at it. And yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And you do have like this way of delivering where it's like you need to get your shit together. Like it's okay. It's okay like that you don't have it together, but like let's
Uh-huh.
get your shit together where it's like, wait, you're right. But also like it's comforting but assertive and
Uh-huh.
confrontational but soft. Like it is a very like interesting blend of like I'll be
The
scrolling.
balance of it all. Yeah, I always talk about balance. And
Mhm.
it's like you do have to balance things.
Yeah.
Like, you have to have that balance of like stern, but like, okay, but like before this ends, let's wrap it up, okay? And
Hmm.
and like this is said in love, so like chill, like, kind of thing. Don't leave this thinking you're hated, whatever. And yeah, I mean it's important, I think, because I've said to like it's funny because in a dream world, a number of the boys like they want me like, having certain combos and things every day. But I've told some of them, I'm like, we mix it up. I take breaks from like more intense subjects and just do like a funny throwaway or an outfit or whatever. I'm like, because I don't want you to get burned out. I'm like,
Hmm.
nobody wants to be fed like self-help shit every fucking day. Like,
Hmm.
it's like, oh my gosh, I need a moment to breathe. I need a moment to like implement what's been discussed and so forth. And then, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
And so for me, it's important to like, just like have different kinds of things flowing in because I mean, at least in the case of me, I don't like things to be like boom, 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 boom. Like
Hmm.
it's like no, like let's introduce things over time and so forth, and just let there be like a natural progression, and also let there be that time for things to process and grow.
Yeah. And that also helps you to not get burnt out either. It's like you're
Oh my
avoiding
gosh,
burnout,
yes.
audiences avoiding burnout, like
Hmm.
everyone's becoming more well-rounded, which I
Exactly.
feel like is just an overall lesson from you and your content is like, let's get more well-rounded. Like let's
Well,
improve ourselves.
thank you. Like I always talk about the balance and how you want to be like a well-rounded person because it's important.
Hmm.
Like I feel like sometimes what I see, especially with younger people, is like it's very almost it's too like one track. I'm
Hmm.
like, okay, just because it's like what did I say? I said there was something that I said. I don't remember what it was, but it like blew up like a few months ago. People were like, "Oh my gosh, you're gonna be the new the person that was saying like whatever it was, some word last year, but it was like some big word everywhere."
Demure.
Yes, demure. But I said something else, and they're like, "This is gonna be the new demure," and I was like, "No, it's not." Like
Like
because
I'm
I'm not
shutting
making
that
that my whole
down.
personality. Like, please get the fuck
Yeah.
out of here. Like they were like, "This is gonna be the." It's not.
Hmm.
Like, oh, I'm not doing that. Like, cheers to the person that did. Like, have at it, ride that way. I'm not like integrating this one word into everything I say. Like, no, kind
Hmm.
of thing. Because it's like I want to be a well-rounded person. I don't want to be stuck in,
Yeah.
oh my gosh.
I've
I would.
always said that. Like I've never wanted to be identified with like one particular personality trait or one particular content type or
Hmm.
like I've always wanted like, oh, he's serious, but he can be really silly, or like he's smart, but can like you can have like lighthearted conversations. Like I want to be all of these different things at one time,
For sure.
which like may be hard for like things like a brand to grasp because they want like the who are you? What do you do? And it's like, well, I'm a person and I'm well rounded. Like you're not going to try to
Hmm.
put me in a box, you know? But I don't
Absolutely.
know that I feel like that's so important for individuals to be, but also to see. And I think that's really cool that like not only are you preaching it, but you're embodying it with your content as well.
Well, thank you.
Hmm.
I'm glad to hear too that like you are someone who's also trying to like have that well-roundedness. I definitely think in some ways it probably makes it like harder to grow and so forth, but it's also one of those where it's like at least for me, maybe it's the Gemini in me, I don't really know, but I'm like exactly as you said, I would burn out and then just like be like, okay, bye. Like,
Hmm.
because it, and so I'm like, I have to do it in a way that will keep me personally interested, engaged, and feel like I'm working, towards something. And I do feel like having that variety and exploring the different things, it's kind of like what has led me to here, or,
Hmm.
in terms of like, attempting to write a book and do different things like that, and kind of seeing, what is able to come of that. Because at the end of the day, I've never had the desire to be like an influencer. Like, I've had the desire to find a way to help people and build something that I feel like, is really like rooted in like love, but also like my taste and also something that, is able to again help a number of people in various ways, whether, in mind, body, style, like, whatever it is. And so that's something where it's kind of, I'm in this weird stage right now trying to figure out, okay, what is the path to that? And the way I'm starting it is like with the book because
Hmm.
then I'm like, okay, once a book is out or whatever, then like, okay, I've author like check, and then from author I can expand to wherever kind of thing.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah. I feel like so much of the advice is like pick a niche and do that over and over again. Like that's how you grow.
yeah,
But
and
like
I'm
that's
like,
always sounded like I've never wanted that. I've never wanted a niche. I've never wanted to be pigeonholed into anything. I'm like, I would rather talk about everything I'm interested in and like be expressive in my full capacity and
uh-huh,
have like if I have 100,000 people that love that content and like that's the ceiling that I hit, but like those 100,000 people like me for me and
hmm,
as a person, like that's all I need. I don't need 15 million followers because people like whatever content I make, whether it's political content or like as soon as I find myself getting into too much of one thing, I have to like reassess and be like, okay, like I need to take a step back because I personally do burn out and I also don't want to be known for one particular thing. But it does inhibit growth to some aspect. Like some people follow me because of political takes or some people follow me because of relationship takes or
hmm,
whatever. And it's like I understand that there could be fall off, but like I would much rather people follow me for me. Like I don't really care for the huge mass appeal. It's
hmm.
like I would rather be well-rounded.
No, absolutely. I mean, I guess I'll say for me, I'm okay. I'm okay being kind of known in a particular, I guess, like vein or lane in terms of, okay, for example, people will like often comment like, you're my Mel Robbins or like or like you're my Oprah or like
Hmm.
whatever. And I've said like little things here or there like, oh my gosh, I could be like Gen Z Oprah or like, but it's like I'm fully like I'm sure people are like, oh, okay, he's crazy. And I'm like, no, I'm fully serious.
Hmm.
Like I mean, I'm like I could like carry conversations. I don't get starstruck. I've met numerous people. I talk to whomever like they're the garbage man. Like I don't I mean it's I'm not impressed by things like that. And so it's one of those where I'm like, I mean, for me, if there's something I would like to be, I guess, just maybe known for is so I don't want to say like self-help or whatever, but I would say like kind of like a big brother to the world in a sense where it's like, I'm able to help along the way, give some advice, and just provide like a comfortable space where people feel able to have like real conversations that are void of the inherent judgment that comes in conversation with most people, especially in
Hmm.
the modern age, right? A lot of people they lead with judgment rather than like an openness to like a variety of views.
Hmm.
And especially in, the current political climate and so forth, it's like I grew up in a time where we coexisted with people that had different beliefs than us. And now it's a thing where it's like, oh, someone views something differently than you, like you need to cut off, them from your family and all this and all that. And a lot of that, in my personal opinion, is rooted in like people feeling that so much revolves around them, But
Hmm.
it's like your family making, a certain member of a family making a certain decision and so forth. It could have nothing to do with you. But, people will be like, oh, well, that person, you know, chose that vote or something against me and it's like you may have not been a consideration, which is kind of shitty too, but it's like that choice didn't like center you or like you were not at the center of that choice. And I'll hear different people talk about things and I'm like, I don't think that like a lot of people are sitting around thinking that way, right? Like I'll use an example of the like my in-laws are Trumpers, and some might say like, okay, like oh they voted against like you and your husband, like they love us dearly, like they are they along with my mother like help to ensure that like we're in a good state and like all of that. And so like it was not a vote against us. It was a vote for, they happen to have businesses in the gas and oil industry and so forth. And like there are certain things that they would benefit from that choice, right? It was more of a business decision. Like, I mean, admittedly, like, is that a shitty one that they made? Yeah, but it is what it is. It doesn't mean I'm cutting them off forever. Like that, those are my in-laws. Like, we have to coexist, know one another. Eventually, they're going to be grandparents to our grandkids and things like that. And so it's very interesting in this current age, the way in which a lot of people, I think, just choose to center themselves in other people's choices. And it's like my in-laws did not make that decision rooted in or like in an attempt to not be supportive of my husband and I, if that makes sense. And so it's very complicated. And for me, again, going back to what I was saying, if I can create a space or place where people can have conversations about that, let's say I have like a call-in, show or something like that. And someone being like, okay, my family's divided over this, and I want to, know is there a path back to, being a family unit again or things like that? What is the path to that? Whether it being like a kid or a parent, a parent being like, I voted this way, my kid has cut me off, and how do I rebuild their relationship with them? And like just being able to have an honest conversation with it, not rooted in like my personal feelings or beliefs at the forefront because it's like this is not about me. This is someone wanting to reconnect their family that was divided over this particular thing. And it's like a lot of people, I think it's hard for them to sometimes have conversations like that more neutrally because they are really putting their own personal viewpoints or beliefs and so forth at the forefront of those kinds of conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it is so complex because like
Hmm.
there are real life consequences and byproducts of something like voting for an administration or voting on a ballot or
For
like there
sure.
are repercussions that do affect people. And if even if that's not at the forefront of someone's thought when they are voting for someone, like that is a real byproduct that does have effects. And
For
but
sure.
I think like it gets so complicated because I also have, like personal relationships. It's like one of those things where people are like, "Oh, I didn't vote for this." And it's like, "Okay, well you did, like technically you did vote for this,
You
but
did.
I know that when you were casting your ballot, you were thinking of something else." But like there there has to be room of like acknowledging, like so many things have to be acknowledged at the same time, and it gets really complex and really nuanced. And some people did vote directly to be anti-LGBTQIA plus. Some people did
Thousand
vote
percent.
for
Thousand
anti-immigrants. Like
percent.
those people do exist, and some people voted
Absolutely.
because their business would benefit. Like there's so many reasons.
Yeah.
And when you want to, like when you try to cast like your personal afflictions onto somebody, where it's like you
Hmm.
voted for this, so you must fall into this category. And like I've been guilty of that as well. Like knowing people that have voted a particular way, I'm like, okay, since you voted for this,
Hmm.
you must be against this. And they're like, well, no, not necessarily, but like I voted because of this. And it's like, well, you have to acknowledge the repercussions. And like it gets so complicated so quickly.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, I don't even know when it's like some relationships, like some people are completely valid of cutting people off. Some people, if they want to mend that relationship, like it's a two-way street, and like you should be able to have these conversations and like rebuilding
Absolutely.
relationships. And like I don't know, there's so much validity to all the sides, and it gets so complex and nuanced. But I think like creating a space where people can have those conversations is really important. Like,
Hmm.
I've gone months, almost years without talking to certain people, and recently have been like, okay, like I want to try to have these conversations because these are people that for 20 years were a significant part of my life, but for like my personal reasons, I haven't spoken to them. And like I want to try to revisit this, and it does get complicated very quickly, and emotions do arise on both sides. And it's like it's okay, like it's okay to have those conversations. And I think it's important. And like luckily I'm in a place, and like I can't assume your position or anything, but like I know that I come from certain places of privilege where like I can have these conversations, and certain things may not affect me because of the place I live or the family I'm born into. Like I can
Hmm.
have conversations on behalf of people that may not be able to have that conversation. Like, whether I'm speaking for my friends that are trans, like I'm trying to defend them in spaces that they're not even welcome to, So it's like there's so
Hmm.
many, yeah, I don't even know. Like it gets so complicated so quickly. But I think it's beautiful that you're trying to create a space where like all of that is welcome. And I feel
Oh,
like
yeah.
that doesn't like single you into any particular lane, because that is like a broad tent, that is a broad spectrum of like you're trying to create a place of love and understanding and lack of judgment, but you're not known for like you're not like the fashion guy on TikTok. You're not like you're bigger than that. You know what I'm trying to say? Like you're not put
Absolutely.
into a box.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think
And
that's
it's
beautiful.
well, thank you. And it's funny that you said nuance because it's like that's literally what we were talking about at like the start of the conversation,
Hmm.
right? The lack of nuance, which I think is what makes it harder for a lot of people, honestly, across the board in different age ranges to have some of these conversations because they don't want to actually explore and have a curiosity about the nuances.
Hmm.
But the conversations like this can't be had without acknowledging those, without acknowledging the fact that there are, kind of as we said, like there are people that are valid in all different, like, areas of their beliefs, right? And that does have to be weighed and acknowledged. And I think if more families could actually just sit, excuse me, and have conversation and discuss all of their different viewpoints and kind of just like, let them be out and be able to acknowledge, and then also be able to acknowledge how every person within the family feels. It's like you can get somewhere,
Hmm.
right? But a lot of them, they can't get to the point where they just sit and are able to have like a sensible conversation about, okay, this is why I did this. This is what the choice was, this is kind of the primary reasons the choice was rooted in, and so forth. And and moving on from that, and being able to sit and listen to, okay, well, this is why that decision that you made offended me, and it affects friends of mine, and it affects these different things, and that's why I have so much pent up frustration, anger, whatever else about the decision that you made. And so
Hmm.
I need you to be able to understand, like, that's what, and vice versa. It's like, but that is how relationships work.
Hmm.
And I think it's why relationships are like in decline, whether friendships, whether, all kinds of, because people don't want to have the patience. They don't want to provide the space for, others to talk through those things and so forth. But it's like, you have you have to if you
Hmm.
want relationships, like if you want to, whether rebuild or even, new ones, and so, or even new ones and so forth,
Hmm.
when people are dating or whatever other things. Like, there's instances where like people don't really care to hear about things outside of like their immediate personal interests, and it's like, that's not how dating works. Like, you have to be able to have a, curiosity and a desire to know more about others' interests and so forth as well. And so, hopefully in some way down the line, I don't know what it looks like. I don't know if I'm, gonna try to start some other kind of like series or something through the pod or like whatever. But I mean, my dream down the line is like Sirius or someone like being like a partner and really like, like having it just be like that and like a call-in thing,
Hmm.
because I just I really feel like I could thrive in that kind of format. And like I said, just creating a space where things can be talked about because it's
Hmm.
important. And conversation is, I think that it's so beautiful. Sometimes conversations is what opens people's minds to things. Like, sometimes it's not like reading 20 books on it. Sometimes it's just the simplest of conversations and listening to people who have gone through similar experiences or traumas or whatever else, and hearing about the way that they navigated, that experience, or hearing about the way that like they restored that broken relationship or whatever, that wakes it up for a lot of people and kind of brings it to their attention that they can also do the same.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Mhm.
I feel like that's probably a good place to end it. Like, I feel like
Oh
that's
my gosh, yeah, I
beautiful
don't even
of
know what
like,
time it is. Like,
no, I just looked at the clock and I was like, we've been going for about 2 hours. And I was like,
oh my gosh. Okay.
we can
Yeah,
talk
see,
for, I mean,
I told you I'm a talker, you gotta rein me in.
no, it's great. I just want to be mindful of your time.
Yeah, oh yeah, no, you're
But yeah,
fine.
we could talk for hours, but I feel like ending it on kind of like what you want is a great way to end it, of like creating this talk show, creating this space. Like that's beautiful. I feel like that'd be a great place for us to end it. Um,
No, for sure. What do
yeah.
you want, I feel, while we're here really quick before we
Oh,
sign off?
that's a great question.
Yeah.
That is a great question. I love talking to people, very similar
Uh-huh.
to you, like from this whole conversation. Like, I really, really enjoy talking to people. I really enjoy hearing people's perspectives. Like, I am so interested in humans and the human experience. And I just want to talk to people. Like, I really enjoy, like, if I could just hear everybody's story and understand people's feelings and experiences, like, I truly enjoy that. I love food. Like, I've always dreamed of having a show, like some sort of travel show, where I go and I try a food and then I go into someone's home and then I explore like the nature around their home, like something like that where
Okay.
I'm learning their story and like whether it's a dish or like a little knickknack on their pantry or something like that. And I'm like, where does this come from? What's the significance to you? Like, what's this story? What's your story? I'm so just passionate about humans and I just love humans so much. And
Huh?
I think that's why I get so passionate about so many different topics where it's like, I just want people to live and have dignity, whether it's like topics like trans rights or homelessness or whatever it is. It's like, I just want people to live the best life that they possibly can.
Absolutely.
And so if there's a way that I can tap into that, and I'm very much still trying to figure it out, but doing things like this where I just get to talk to people
Hmm.
for an hour or 2 hours and like, I mean, we've chatted a little bit before this, but we've never really chatted at length. So like getting to know you and like all day I was looking forward to our conversation. And I don't know, just doing things like this really fill my cup. So I'm like, I would
I
love
love
a
that.
way to find a way to like make this into something that can provide in a way. But even if it doesn't, like taking a couple hours out of my week to talk to people is something that I really enjoy.
I love that. No, I could totally see you doing that. I was literally thinking to myself because I've like watched some of the different serious ones on like a thing or whatever. I was like, if we were in the same city and like there was some kind of show or whatever, I was like, I feel like you'd be such like a good because usually on those there's like a co-host person or like whatever. I'm like, oh, you'd be such like a good like co-host person to like do it with me. Because usually it's like there's like two people in the studio kind of thing or like
Hmm.
type of thing. And yeah, but I definitely I can totally see that being the case. Like, obviously we both love conversation and I mean I would tell you explore it. You could always like just even do like a test thing whether through TikTok or YouTube or whatever and like almost do like 5 or 6 episodes like on YouTube or something and like tell me your story and like just find like interesting, explore interesting people around
Hmm.
LA where you are and so forth and just see if that's something that you like, the format of or whatever. I mean, I it's it, it's one of the most like I guess fun things about the early stages, right? Like the
Hmm.
trial and error of it all and like playing through it and being like, okay, this is gonna work, this isn't. Because sometimes like in your mind something feels like the right fit and then you like do it and you're like, ah, that's not it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so yeah, trial and error is yeah, just playing around with that and seeing, seeing what can come of it. But whatever it is, I'm confident that you're going to be successful in it. It's
Thank you.
just figuring out what that thing is. So,
Thank you.
yes.
Yeah.
You're
I mean, that goes back to like not wanting to be stuck in one thing. Like the idea of doing one thing forever has always like, that's always freaked me out. So like
for sure.
wanting to land on a certain idea. So like that's kind of why I started with this is like I was always like, I want a podcast, I want a talk show. And I was like, okay, just start reaching out to people, like whoever it is. Like the first couple
Well,
episodes were literally just like people that viewed my TikTok and wanted that were open to chat. And I was like, yeah,
uh-huh.
let's hop on Zoom and I'll record it. And then I started like reaching out to other creators and I was like, I just need to get the reps in and like the path will reveal itself eventually. Um, but yeah, like I'm so
Absolutely.
appreciative to be able to even have these conversations and like I feel like I'm getting better, the shows are getting better, the conversations are getting better. Um, and that's all due to people like yourself. And I really appreciate you taking the time and the energy. And I had a great time talking to you. So I really
I had
appreciate
a
it.
great time talking to you as well. What we will do this again offline
I'm
or
sure.
if you're like, I need another, whatever. But yeah, we'll definitely be talking in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was funny because when you were talking about like what you want with your
Uh-huh.
talk show, like a phone and thing, I was like, man, I would love to be like a little co-host on that. So it was funny that you
Oh,
had that.
that's so crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. No, I was literally thinking like, oh, he'd be so perfect because I don't know if you know who like Morgan Stewart is. But she's like this like blonde girl. She's also a Gemini, funnily enough, but she just started like her own like radio show with Sirius and she has like a co-host person like
Hmm.
and then like Jeff Lewis. There's numerous people with like or even like what's his name? Oh my gosh, Howard Stern. Like
Hmm.
Howard Stern has his go-to, but like everyone, kind of has it. But I was like, oh my gosh, like I was like, oh, we'd like play off. I feel like we'd play off one another so well with like the guests and everything. And so anyway, that's just like my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's crazy. It's very interesting. I'm this next year is going to be fascinating just to see how like things develop and so forth. Because honestly, if like I if the right partners don't come to the table and like so forth, I literally might write like a business proposal and be like, "Mom, what?" and like try to like build it out and just like do it myself, like kind of
Hmm.
thing. And yeah. So who knows? Who
Who knows?
knows?
It'll
Yeah.
it'll all land where it's supposed to land. Like
Yeah.
I was working out a business deal for this show. It was like it was going to become an official show, like production.
Uh-huh.
I was like in the process of looking for editors and producers and like
Uh-huh.
buying all this equipment, like all of like the steps of creating a real production. And this company was essentially going to buy 10 episodes.
Okay.
And so I was like doing all of the things and it ended up falling through last minute.
Uh-huh.
Like we were going to start in January and like right after Christmas, they were like, "Hey, so sorry. Like some things came up. We're shutting down. Like we're canceling all of our investments, whatever, whole thing." But then I was like, okay, I'm going to take a step back. And now I'm like, okay, maybe I can like get the wheels turning by myself and then eventually fund it myself and turn it into something bigger. So it's like
Yeah.
it all pans out how it's supposed to pan out. But
I'm
yeah.
such a firm believer in that. Like, it takes that happening a few times in life for you to realize, okay, there's always a reason, but
Hmm.
it really is the truth. Like, there's always a reason why things take a turn, and it always ends up being for the better down the line. So,
Yeah,
oh
absolutely. And I can't see, or I can't wait to see what that is for you.
oh my gosh, well,
What
thank you.
the
I
books,
appreciate
the
that.
talk shows, the everything.
Oh my gosh, I can't. Like I was I literally one of my friends was like, they were like Oprah being like, you get a car, like you they were like, that is so like you, like I was like, oh my gosh, I can't.
Yeah,
I just it's insane. Like I feel it's the sky's the limit. And I think both of us, we have beautiful things ahead and everything will enter and be off to the races when it's supposed to. I truly trust it. So,
absolutely.
yes.
Cheers to that. And yeah,
Cheers.
thank you
Well,
so, so
thank you
much.
again. Have an incredible night.
You too. It's late
And
over there for you now.
yeah, it's like midnight, whatever. I'm like a no, like I'm on like it's like I'm on like Kathy Hilton schedule, so it's like I'm rolling out of bed like 10 or so, like going to bed like 2, like like so it's like whatever, it's fine.
You're my people. You're my people.
I cannot. Okay. Well, I'll talk to you
Okay.
soon.
I'll talk soon. Thank you
Okay,
again.
bye.
Bye.